Hey, what's up everyone? Sagi from Tech Gear Talk at NAB 2018. I want to show you a brand new camera that Blackmagic just unveiled, the Cinema Pocket 4K. This camera is set to be released on September 3rd, 2018, and it's going to go for $12.95. I already pre-ordered mine from B&H, and as soon as I get my hands on it, I'll do a very detailed review. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button. And this is a new iteration of the Cinema Pocket camera that was super popular. And what Blackmagic did is they kept a lot of the things that worked with the Cinema Pocket and then added some pretty significant features to this model. The Pocket Cinema 4K can capture 10-bit ProRes or 12-bit RAW. But in addition to that, Blackmagic added the ability to record directly to an external hard drive, which is going to end up being great when you're dealing with very large RAW files. So I want to talk a little bit about the form factor of this camera. It's a little bit bigger than the previous version, and one of the reasons for that is that Blackmagic added a 5-inch screen on the back instead of the 3.5-inch screen that was on a previous version. And this is super nice. I'll talk more about it later on, but this is a full touch screen. It's not turned on right now, but it's really bright. The image quality is excellent. And when you're using the touchscreen functionality, it's much nicer to be able to interact with a larger screen. With the 4K model, Blackmagic added a Micro Four Thirds sensor, which is larger than the Super 16 that was on the Cinema, on the Pocket Cinema. And a larger sensor, of course, is going to give you better dynamic range. This camera has 13 stops of dynamic range. You're going to get better low light performance and just better overall details for your footage. As far as lens options, of course, you can use any Micro Four Thirds lens that's going to be very lightweight, electronically controlled. And then there are various adapters that will let you use PL, C, EF mount lenses. And then of course that becomes a decision that you have to make yourself, because you're going to add, there's just a couple of issues to discuss here. You're going to add a large lens onto this camera, you're going to end up with a much larger rig. And also because of the Micro Four Thirds sensor, you're going to have a 2x crop factor. So if you're throwing a 70 to 200 on this, you're actually ending with a 140 to 400. So that's why when possible, if it were me, I would use Micro Four Thirds lenses on this. They're super wide, they're small, and they're going to keep your setup really compact, but that's a personal choice. It's not a limitation of the camera. So it's going to be able to handle super nice high-end glass if that's what you want. Obviously, the major thing that jumps out at you about this camera is 4K. So of course, in addition to full HD, you can record at 4K from 24 or 23.98 up to 60 frames per second. And that's even in RAW. You get to choose between Cinema DNG and ProRes 422, depending on what level of control you want for your project. Now going back to resolution a little bit, so we were talking about 4K. If you're shooting full HD and want to go up to 120 frames per second, you're going to use a windowed sensor. So it's not going to use the full size of the sensor, which again will apply an additional crop factor to the lenses that you're using. But still, that's going to give you some super nice functionality and a lot of flexibility if you want to do slow motion. The Cinema Pocket 4K can record internally to either a CFast 2.0 or to an SD UHS 2 cards, not both at the same time, but there are 2 slots, so you can choose which one you want to record to. It can also record externally to an SSD or just an external hard drive via the USB-C input right here. We talked a little bit about the touchscreen, and here you can see just how nice and big it is. It pretty much covers the entire back of the camera, which is really nice when you're previewing your image, and again, when you're using the touchscreen functionality. One of the things that the screen doesn't articulate at all, so you can only see it, pretty much when you're behind. You can't flip it up or down, and it doesn't articulate to the side. But of course, you can use the HDMI out and use an external monitor. From an audio standpoint, Blackmagic added a mini XLR as well as a 3.5mm jack, so you can use different microphones. And another feature that I really like is that they did incorporate a headphone jack, so you can monitor your audio live. And if you're jumping into this camera, if you're used to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera that doesn't have a headphone jack, you're going to love that, because you're going to be able to monitor your audio in real time rather than finding out that there were some problems later on and then have to fix it in post. So this is something that I really like the Blackmagic added to this camera. As far as power, the Cinema Pocket 4K is powered by a Canon LPE6 battery, or of course you can use the provided power adapter and then just run continuously. Wait, what'd you say? Are you saying all of this is not enough for you? All right, so guess what? There's a bonus here. Believe it or not, if you buy this camera, you actually get an activation key for DaVinci Resolve Studio. Yeah, that's right. You're gonna get a free activation key for DaVinci Resolve Studio. So that's a $300 value just for buying this camera. So basically you're getting this camera, this upgraded camera, for the same price that you would get the previous Cinema Pocket. Just think about that. Overall, I think the Cinema Pocket 4K is a great camera for someone who is just dipping their toe into the cinema world, and they can get a lot of really nice functionality and specs without breaking the bank. A bigger sensor, 4K at 60 frames per second, full HD or 1080p at up to 120 frames per second, tons of lens options, external audio, a super nice touchscreen, and even a free activation key for DaVinci Resolve Studio. This definitely makes it a camera that you should check out if you're in the market, and again, if you're just going into the cinema camera world. I mentioned earlier that the release date is September 3rd, 2018. The price is gonna be $1,295. If we get any updated information, we'll go ahead and post it on our channel, so make sure that you hit the subscribe and notification button. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. Like I said, I already pre-ordered mine from B&H, and I'll do a very detailed review of, you've seen my reviews, they're super detailed, of all the functionalities of this camera as soon as I get it. If you enjoyed this first look at the Cinema Pocket 4K, please tweet it, share it, and then hit the subscribe and notification buttons for more camera and tech reviews. Good luck and see you soon.